after him?
Cobb can go first.
And we are live,
Sound
SoundMinds.
Mars. Peace, my people. 7 p.m. on a Sunday. It is the 20th, and we are now at the 19th episode of Sound Minds podcast, which means that this is the ninth episode of the second season, which we are about to wrap up the second season, and we cannot do it without the incredible cast that we have today, just based off of the fact that this right here, if any topic is important, this right here is just as important, just based off of the current times we're dealing with, and we need our soldiers out there. And this is exactly what we have. We have our generals who are out there on that front line action. You know what I mean? So if anybody says, yo, man, I think we need to protest and we need to boycott, and we need to, these two gentlemen are out there doing that. They out there on the front line helping all people and doing for us and ours that most are not doing. So shout out to them. We have, and we're going to give our proper intros. They're going to get into their intros. You know what I'm saying? And 7 o'clock, 7, let's go.
SoundMinds to that. First, we got our brother Kyle. Brother, let's talk. Tell us who you are, where you from, and, you know, what you do.
Peace. I'm Kyle Conway. I'm upstate New York, Orange County, representing the NAACP. I'm leader of the, I'm head of the Community Engagement Board. I officially will be the vice president of the branch soon when I get voted in. And I'm here to participate in change. I'm trying to be an agent of change. I'm trying to participate in the machine of change. I'm just trying to be a gear in it, and definitely out here doing work and learning from a lot of folks. So I'm trying to contribute.
Appreciate your contributions, my brother. I'm telling you, that's exactly what is always needed, man. The more of us step out on these front lines and we all come together, you know what I mean, and represent unity, you know what I mean? Unity. And speaking of unity, let's bring in the president, founder of a nonprofit organization called For Unity, our brother Tim Fraylon. Peace, my brother. Peace.
Peace, family. Peace, family. Timothy Fraylon, president, co-founder for Unity Community Outreach Corporation, but as Puck said, for Unity for short. And I've just been out on the front lines for a long time doing, community work and engagement. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, by way of Chicago, Illinois, South Side. So I come from two areas that definitely need peace, love, and unity at all times. And I'm just happy to be here and just talk the talk, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk as well.
That's a fact. And my brother, you mentioned you from Hartford, Connecticut, and speaking of being on the front line, we do also get to witness the tragedies in our city. And we just also had a recent tragedy in our city, a senseless killing. Can you speak on that, my brother?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I want to give a moment of silence, if we could, real briefly, for Jaquan Walters, aka JQ, young man, early 20s that was doing this thing, basketball wise. So we just get a brief moment of silence for him real quick. Then I'll get into the details. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So, just yesterday, we lost a really, really good brother that I seen basically come up, from a teenager, from a preteen, a kid, phenomenal basketball player. He graduated University of Hartford High School, went on to Albertus Magnus, and then went overseas. So he got to travel the world and everything, doing what he loved to do, which was basketball. And it was just good to see him flourish. And he wasn't just a basketball player. He was nice with it. Like drop 50, 60 on your head, easy, 6'6", he should be in the NBA sort of thing. And he was doing really good things in the community as well, and like basketball was his love and passion, along with rapping as well. So, it struck a chord, especially because he was so connected to the community that we're from. Being from the north end of Hartford, it's a whole different atmosphere out of all the other sides of Hartford. And it's like really the trenches, a lot of it, so it hurt the whole hood, all hoods across, and even reached the south end as well on his passing, a senseless argument that led to gunfire that, could have been prevented. They should have just, talked it out, boxed it out, however, but there was no need for guns. And what makes it more tragic is that I know both parties involved. So I know the young man who fired, I know the young man that was killed. So that even hurts even worse, because now we lose two brothers, one brother to the system and one brother to the grave. And there's no harder tragedy than that, you know, over something that was senseless and not really worth it, you know.
Yes, my brother. I mean, and it continues, you know, this cycle just continues, yo, and it really does hit home every single time, because we out here, you know, you see it. We preaching the Black Lives Matter. We raising awareness to bring unity. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that neither we are part of Black Lives Matter, but the message of bringing unity and the message of bringing awareness to our communities, our hoods, you know what I mean? That is a positive aspect, but then we still have this going on. Can you tell me, both of my brothers, all of us, we can all answer, you know, how does it feel to be on the side of Black Lives Matter, on the side of positivity for our people, on the side of, you know, unity, and this continues to keep happening?
I guess I kick it to it first. It can get discouraging, you know, that we try so hard to bring change and you just keep seeing the same results, you know, day in and day out. You know, people say, yo, we should riot, and then they riot. Then what's the results? Same thing. People say we should be peaceful. Let's peacefully protest. We peacefully protest. It's the same thing. So it is tiresome at times, but the work needs to be done at the same time at the end of the day. And it's going to take more like-minded individuals just to keep fighting the good fight, and also bring our babies up into this and expose them to this, because they are the next generation as well. You know, as we were the next generation at one point in time, and now it's our time, you know, to do what we got to do and try to bring change. And it's going to happen with, you know, policy. It's going to happen behind the scenes. It's going to happen with unity and unifying. We don't need, you know, being totally honest, we don't need police to police us. We can police ourselves as a community. We don't need politicians. Not saying nothing against it. You know, I'm just speaking straight facts from what my opinion, basically, that we don't need.
You're saying need, though. The specific word is need.
Yes,
you feel
need.
Me?
You know what I'm saying? You know, we don't need those things. We can police ourselves. We can be politicians for ourselves. We are what we need, because we are the ones that put these people in office. We are the ones that give these people jobs. We are the taxpayers. So we need each other more than ever. And we need to come together as a community to really bring change and to bring justice to what we see fit.
I appreciate that honest answer right there, man. My brother, my bad, we went deep, but we opened it up that with something that just really hit home and was so recent. We talking only yesterday, you know what I'm saying? And it, even though you can be on one side and then on the same time we still killing each other, like you said, it can be like, it's like, come on, like what are we fighting for?
You know, it's crazy.
Now you ask yourself that question. My bad.
No. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, for the most part, man, the hard, so and it's crazy, right? Because this topic is about the front line. First and foremost, I salute the both of you brothers for doing what you do and being the leaders that you are. Because it's never easy to kind of, like, you know, for the most part, round up people who may not necessarily care about things unless they directly affected, and have them understand that what you're doing is bigger than just the individual, right? So when you out there on the front lines and really fighting for a cause or fighting for your own, the disheartening part is when you get the news like this, because truth of the matter is, like, we got more than enough make-believe soldiers. We got more than enough people who have, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, the difference between my hood and the Lower East Side and Chicago or Hartford or anything, really, honestly speaking, the only difference is the difference in the names. You know what I mean? And sometimes we even share the same hood names. You know what I mean? But when we sitting out there and we fighting for our hood, man, and we fighting for our projects, and it's just like, yo, I die for Rutgers. But Rutgers, the actual person that this is named after, might have very well been a slave master who owned slaves. And not only that, but would love to know and see us, you know what I mean, black and brown killing each other. So the sad part is, we know the history of what we deal with and the historic nonsense that has gone through this country, right? But then the sad part is when we see all these, yo, I'm a soldier, son, what up? I'm ready to die for mine. But are you really though? Because you're not really ready to war out with those you need to war out with. You're ready to war out with your mirror reflection. And that's the sad part.
Fighting the wrong war.
Right. You know what I mean? So you out here.
You ready to die for the wrong
exactly.
war.
And it's nothing, it's nothing to be in a house and kill a family member who trusts you because you live in that same house. It's the same thing with the hood. It's easy to get at each other and kill each other because we're so accessible. But to go out there to the White House, get certified, get your permit for your pistol, and understand that if we really war out, we need as many numbers as possible rather than killing each other. We out here, not only are we already outnumbered, but we always constantly outnumbered each other more so because we're constantly killing each other off. And it's sad to hear these stories, man, because especially when they're young and you see the promise and you see the light and you see the power that we have as individuals, but don't understand how much powerful we can be if we join together. You know what I mean? And understand that front line needs more than just one leader. We need more soldiers. So the only thing with the soldier mentality is, what war are you fighting? Are you killing yourselves, or are you actually in a war that means something for all of us? You know what I mean? So I just have to put that out there, man.
I tell people, remind people all the time, one dread is stronger than one strand of hair. One fist is stronger than one finger. You think about how the two most dangerous fingers on your hand, the middle finger and the trigger finger, together make peace. We advance so much further through unity. Everything that has done, every protest, every movement, everything that has changed has come through the involvement of like-minded people for a greater goal that was bigger than them. You think about the 60s, it wasn't just the civil rights movement that is known for. You had the hippies, you had the conservative movement, you had the environmental movement, and things took grip, things had teeth because people stood together. When you was talking about soldiers, and a lot of times I go and I speak at protests, and it's more about, I'm with the NAACP, I'm with a group called 845 Unity, I'm with a Black think tank in Poughkeepsie, I'm with Community Voices Heard, I'm with several groups, and each group has the same problem. People don't have soldiers. No organizations don't have soldiers. But everyone has an opinion on politics. Everyone has an opinion what's going on, how the man is oppressing us. Now, I'm not saying systemic racism don't exist, but when it comes to local politics, if you want to get more bang for your money to get change, we got to do local politics. And we need soldiers. We need people to be advocates. We need to amplify these voices. So that's one thing we got to do on that type of line, right? When we talk about the man oppressing us. The second thing is the cultural shift. When I look at someone brown, especially I do know these protests, I'm from the city. If I don't know you, I don't talk to you. I keep it pushing. I don't got nothing to say to you. Now, peace, brother. Peace, black. Peace, God. Like, I'm always reaching out to the next black man I would never speak to before, because I'm starting to really understand what it was back then. It's trying to shift the culture. I look at you, I'm supposed to see my brother in the struggle, my sister in the struggle, especially black women. And if you Spanish, I'm sorry, I'm half Puerto Rican, you black. I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? We need to understand the beauty of what worked. And it was when we were connected to something bigger. So when we shoot at each other over an argument, when we engage in things that they don't add up to life. It adds up to a moment. It adds up to ego. And you're not doing God's work if you're fulfilling your ego. You know what I'm saying? So I think the culture shift has to be, you're my brother. You think about when a black man shoots another black man. I saw this in some documentary. The dude said, nobody ever says, I'm gonna go kill these brothers. Like, I'm gonna go kill these niggas. You would never say, I'm gonna kill this brother. It don't even feel right. I people like
that's a fact.
That
look at the that's the difference between the energies behind the words, right? The energy behind the word, when you say brother, there's a positive energy behind that word. There's a connective energy behind that word. There's a disconnective, there's a negative energy behind the word nigga. That was a great point. It just to even piggyback though on the soldier aspect. The soldier, like you hit it home with the soldier. Tim, I mean, I know you could vouch for that, like how we need more soldiers out here. You know what I mean? Speak on what it would look like. What would a for unity, mind you, this brother does peace walks. We talking about an incident that happened about violence, but we have an organization called For Unity that does peace walks. Peace walks, walking up and down blocks, you know what I'm saying? Just promoting peace, stop the violence, stop killing each other. You know what I mean? Putting out that message. So, what a peace walk would look like if we had more soldiers during the peace walk.
So you brought up a good point, man. So one thing that sticks up, I don't know if I could say it. All right, so I won't mention the name because of we streaming. But what I will say is a well-known activist that we all know very well globally. He says only but so many, so I just put it out there. Name starts with an A, last name with an S. Won't say the name though. All right. So he came to Hartford some years back, maybe like 4 or 5 years back, right? So prior to that, we started doing peace walks in 2012. And it's ironic that it was around the time of Trayvon Martin, but it was because we realized that in the summertime, the violence just peaks in Hartford. And I'm pretty sure it's around everywhere. People get out of jail, it's hot, people outside, things, there's a lot more to do, things like that. So it peaks. So we like, all right, during the summertime, especially, we're going to get out here in the most dangerous areas. It don't matter because me personally, I told my son this the other day, I feel safe anywhere that my people's at. Seeing from Brooklyn to Hartford to Chicago to Detroit, I'm safe everywhere because I got faith and because I believe in my brother, regardless of the fact. So that's 2012. So then on top of that, we had, and shout out to Mothers United Against Violence. That is an organization in Hartford of mothers collectively who came together, who sons and daughters were passed from violence. So they came together to protest and stuff like that. So annually, they would do marches too. And I would attend their marches to support because that's what it's all about. And I would just notice the numbers. It might be like 50, 60 people there, 100, 150, right? So I do know that 2 events happened that made their march, that specific time, skyrocket. So one was the Sandy Hook tragedy. I won't speak much on it, but it's a Sandy Hook tragedy. And people flocked for that. Awesome. The next one was this gentleman with the A and the S came, and it was his own. It was like, oh, he's coming. Let's march. Let's do this. And I say, you know what? I'm going to come out here and just to see what it's looking like. Brought my son out there because he needed to be exposed to this, And I'm kind of glad we went out there, not because of who was there or not because of who was heading it, but because of who we ran into, which I'll get into a little later. So, we go out there and it's hundreds of people. I have never seen as many people if it's not a parade. West Indian parade, Puerto Rican Day parade, hundreds of people just to see one guy. Not for the cause, not for it's just to see one guy. No sign in hand. It's just that, can I get close to this guy, take a picture, smile, get him to say my name, hi, start him. So I brought my son there, we marched, and I ran into a young man who was actually impacted by violence and was beat up by a security guard at a local high school. So I saw him and his family out there. And I'm wondering why is nobody talking to them? Of course, nobody's talking to them because of who's there, celebrity status. So I talked to the young man and I'm good in the good fight with him the whole way marching. I'm like, let me get a sign. Got my son a sign. We out here for you. And everybody, and I'm introducing to everybody that I know. So why they talking about Al Sharp? Oh, no, I almost said it. Why they talk about that brother? I'm talking about this young brother who's actually impacted by violence, and let's stop the violence. So I feel like at this point in time, around this time now, we have those who are genuinely in the fight. But we also have those that are taking advantage. And they are using it to catapult their brand, their organization, what have you. And it's aggravating to see. Because as soon as they started, mind you, we've been doing this thing, Pup With Me Too, right alongside, 2012, going strong, before it became popular, before it became a trend. So then now it's
out
becoming
there.
trendy.
Look, we was out there when nobody was out there. You feel me? Nobody marching, but we was marching.
I had sometimes marches where, you know, people got scheduled conflicts. I'm out there dolo, just me, by myself with a sign like, yo, I'm going to spread the word regardless.
Facts.
You know? But, and then, you know, my inbox is blowing up. Hey, what is For Unity doing about this? Like, hold up. I didn't know that we signed up to cover the plight of all Black people. I didn't know this. I didn't know that because we did peace walks that now we're obligated to do any march, any protest, any rally. Like, we've been doing this. We was doing peace rallies too.
Where were you then?
What was that, brother?
You said, where were you then?
Yeah, so I'm looking like, okay, so now it's coming to me like, okay, well, I've been doing this, you know I've been doing this, but you haven't supported, but you hitting me up to support, not you, but to support a cause that I don't know. See, I'm still trying to figure out what's what, because I'm not just gonna go to any. So putting it out there, I haven't been to a rally, not saying I don't support, but I've gotten to the point of myself personally.
Specifically, you talking about like Black Lives Matter rallies type.
Yes.
Okay,
yes, but that is what's trending, really.
Right, that's what's trending. That's why I mean.
Yeah. So respect. Thank you.
I want to chime in. I want to chime in on what you're saying, brother, because it really comes full circle to what you said before about, you know, people say we gotta be militant and destroy things and riot, but then that doesn't lead to a solution. Then people say, nah, you gotta be peaceful and put up signs and use your financial, and that doesn't work. And one thing that we've touched on this, I think we're going to go further on it with y'all brothers on today. We've touched on it little by little with previous guests. But when this is a lifestyle, right? Greed is a human issue. And for those and I've made the same mistake, right? I feel we all, as young actors, you get out there, you in your first protest, you're like, I'm at the protest. And in your mind, nobody else who's in the protest is about nothing. Where are they, right? Because on the day that I decided with my teenage brain to get in a protest, that's when it was important. Like, there hasn't been hundreds and thousands of years of people fighting for way bigger things, right? But I think as we get invested and we say, wait, it's not about getting credit, it's not getting about props. And often, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're in it for a lifelong position, one, you find ways to be revolutionary and make a change inside and outside of the protest, number one, right? And then two, you often find that the same people that you're advocating for, as you're saying right now in that beautiful example, are the main people that are mad at you, right? Because they're the ones that take you for granted or expect you to be the savior type person, right? And that's something you say, okay, if I want to do this for life, I'm okay with those things. I'm okay with being blamed for things more than people that should be doing for themselves if I can make a change and push the needle.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that full circle. Good.
So now hold on. We gonna bring it full circle right now. So Timothy, you said you played football before?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna take your pass, brother. I'm gonna take that pass. Okay. Possibly the same person you're talking about. Situation I was going through where I was exposing something that was going on, where Black and Latino students were being targeted. All right. Exposure of this magnitude would have exposed the current leadership who at the time was utilizing the school system as their own ATM. And not only that, and I'll be real, was also breaking rules to add extra terms to their position. Because of the money and the length and the strength of the money that person held, I'm going to take it past. The same person that you might be speaking about went to their office, and so their front office was like, yo, nah, this is not going to happen. Not to our Black and brown children. Nah, this is, when I tell you that money definitely talks long, I'm glad you said what you just said, because it's not only, the truth of the matter is way too many people on the front line to get their own badges kind of, in a sense, polished, right? But if you stay sharp, right, and you stay mental to who it is that really is the front line, you start to realize that even some of the biggest names are really not who they portray to be. So the truth is, there is I'm gonna say it again, man. It was Vince Staples. I said it last week. Vince Staples said black people sell trauma. Sometimes, most times, it is even our own that utilize struggles and plights to kind of get in offices and to get some type of notoriety in which they really don't deserve. But once they do a little press kit and show up and take a little picture with one or two people and say something for like 15 minutes at a rally, then all of a sudden they up for different type of offices within the next 2 to 3 years. And I say that on a very large scale. And I also say that on a very local, small scale when there's people trying to utilize plights to try to get what they want out of it. You know what I'm saying? And the sad part is that's why I'm glad we call this, we entitled this the Frontline Action, because being on the front line is bigger than just getting notoriety for it. Truth of the matter is, some of the best leaders do things in silence and don't need the cameras or the lights to be on to really make movement and empower their own. So I'm glad you brought that up, brother, because way too many times. And then the sad part is that you can tell when you see people on supposed front lines beefing with other people on supposed front lines about gossip and nonsense. And you like, listen, if your mission is empowering ours and trying to get justice, equality, or whatever it is for us, why are y'all beefing about something so frivolous that at the end of the day, you making us look bad? You know what I'm saying? And the sad part is that it happens so many times, man. I can't tell you with that fight that I was in, so many people that I could expose who really are not the leaders that they portray to be. And the people who in their offices are starting to realize, or they started to realize, damn, hold on, I thought you was this person. Now all of a sudden, because this person got certain money to shut you down, you ain't jumping in that ring the way you say that you in these rings. So thank you for saying that, brother, because I think it's the most, see, the truth of the matter is, in any war, you need to always realize who it is that you're fighting against, and more importantly, who you fighting with, and understand who's shoulder to shoulder with you, because that same person that's shoulder to shoulder with you could be that one person that sticks that knife in your back because they're closest to you. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for bringing that up, brother. I salute you for that.
Thank you, brother. I liked it. That was powerful. I'm gonna share what changed my perspective a little bit too on why I started reacting to the rally request and stuff like that. So for Unity, we spent so much time being proactive because we thought that if we get ahead of it, that we can get better results. And I feel like we did. We never had a violent incident happen on our watch, which says that's saying something. It might happen a minute after, an hour after, but it never happened while we was actually out there, because people have more respect for the brother than just saying the nigga. If I came out there with no signs, hands sagging, I got this, I got that, you know what I'm saying? Of course, boom, I'm coming out there spreading love and peace. And even if they can't get with it, they respect it. So what changed my perspective on things too was I got down with the organization, shout out to Hartford Communities That Care, who's been on the front lines for a long time after somebody's shot. So when somebody's shot in Hartford, they respond to that to help with how you mentioned trauma earlier. So to help with the family, to tend to the victim and things of that nature. And I got down with them because now I want to see what the other side looks like. And that right there is something that changed me forever, to go to a hospital and see a grieving mother or somebody or the whole family together, and they don't know if the person's going to push through or not. And then if they don't push through, we know first, we can't say anything. It's just like that right there, just so eye-opening. You know, they got to go view the body. We got to go talk to them afterwards. Or victim, somebody was shot and they paranoid. They don't know who's coming at them. And we try to talk to them, see that, what do you need, brother or sister, to be good? Is it a job? Is it whatever you need to be good? We try to make sure you're good. So there was that.
Are you saying that you realize that it's bigger than the protest?
Way bigger. And I'm glad you asked that, because I had this debate with a friend around that same time. I think probably was kind of in on it too. But the friend remained nameless. That we had, and I'm like, yo, they talking about this Black Lives Matter thing. I'm like, that's cool and all. This brother was just shot. I just got somebody who just got killed yesterday. So that's cool and all. Or you know, defunding the police. That's cool and all. But while you over there doing that, there's an actual war going on out here. Bodies is dropping. So me screaming this or screaming that is not stopping this brother from killing this brother at all. And I feel like that is the most important thing, to take care of home before we take care of a fight that doesn't involve us directly. It might involve some people, but we got to take care of home no matter where we at, whether it's New York, whether it's Hartford, Connecticut, whether it's Chicago. We got to take care of home, because we take care of home, it spreads. If everybody takes care of their home, love spreads, everything spreads.
SoundMinds.
Official.
SoundMinds.
I
got a question
let
for both
my
of y'all.
brother Cal tap in. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick.
Well, yeah, okay, so this would be a segue, but just go off of that if you want to say anything before I prompt y'all with the
Real
next
quick,
joint,
I
Kyle.
was, the problem is where people are reactionary to something happens, they want to protest, and they don't think about a step further. When George Floyd thing jumped off, I kept saying this is phase 1. Phase 2 is to get in political action, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to go home. We don't want to feel terrified for being brown. But then, again, that's state-sponsored violence when police are not held accountable. But then when we try to hold ourselves accountable, and we talk about, I'm never going to talk about black on black crime. That's ridiculous. There's everyone and everyone crime. But as black people who've been marginalized and been objectified, I get upset. You know what we went through. Why are we putting ourselves through it? You know what I mean? And when we actually try to address that and say, because for me, after this whole police brutality thing with Executive Order 203, we should get into that later, in New York State. After we talk about the state injuring us, we got to talk about how we're injuring us. And that's an honest, legit, and important conversation, because when you love something, you discipline it. I love my country. I'm going to discipline it. I'm going to protest. If it ain't right, we protest. And I love my brothers and sisters, but I'm going to protest it. You know what I mean? So everything you're saying, that like, you can't front being on the front line. Just the time will tell the truth who's really about that life.
Yes, sir. SoundMinds. So that you can't front being on the front line, man.
That's the name of the track.
Yeah.
We got another track. Every episode, somebody says something, we like, that's the name of the track. You can't front on the front line. Thank you, Kyle.
You know what's crazy too, man? I wanna definitely shout out, man. So brother of mine, man, Paul Malu. I was trying to get him on this actual episode, and it just so happens that yesterday he got arrested for leading peaceful protests. Man, he was out there for the ICE thing on Times Square, and he's been fighting for. Shout out to him. He's out now. But the fact that they took droves of people, like, they took power, like, I think 24 people. You know what I mean? They took like 24 people, and these are peaceful protests. But then you see the other side of it, where people are freely able to walk with guns and freely able to terrorize, other people. And when you see the certain lack of respect that's given to our people, black and brown, for peacefully doing something, but then you see the very honorable, these are good people type of mentalities when you see the Caucasian Europeans out there with their guns. It's two totally different worlds that we living in. And we need to be very honest when you see people on the front line, salute them. And if you jumping on that front line to be a part of it, be part of it, be committed. You know what I mean? So again, can't say it enough. Both of you brothers, thank you so much. I salute you. Thank you to Paul Malu, who's leading a whole bunch of people too, man. Y'all doing your thing, man. So Kai, go ahead, man, with your question. My fault, brother.
Yo, salute again to power and free all political prisoners while we at it. One thing that I think is that we're realizing with each and every episode is that the more we realize who we're going up against and who we're trying to grow into, the more we realize there's so many amazing people who we are standing on the shoulders of giants of every day that we will never even be able to know or say their names. So salute to all of y'all. We love you, and we don't need to know your names. You in the constellation, you are loved, you are SoundMinds, regardless of your political affiliation. We feel you. And if you feel what we're saying, then you know. That being said, here's a question for both of y'all that y'all kind of leading me up to. Motivation. I know myself as a youngster, I was motivated to get active because I was angry at something. there was sometimes where I was using my mind and my responsible righteousness because I had to. I might have been around people who were supposed to be taking care of me that weren't doing their job. People who have more authority than me that weren't doing my job. So I had to like overcompensate, right? Fortunately, I came into ciphers like the one I'm in right now with y'all, SoundMinds, where I did not need to overcompensate, right? Because you're in a group with other like-minded individuals, people who get it. People you don't need to get angry and riled up around in order to move them. They ready to move. They looking for opportunities. They respect the small steps that we take each day. They don't need to be recognized or dramatic about things, right? They don't need the kids that's on the park and the swings to even know what's going on, right? They can live. So there's a couple things that I'm asking, and it's going to lead to 3 questions. The first is it okay to be angry at first when you first get involved and use that for motivation? Second, is it dysfunctional to keep anger as a primary reason you're active, right? Because once you realize these are systemic issues that are probably not going to go away in our lifetime. So if we're waiting to have them end and we're going to stay involved in activism, then we're going to get ourselves some high blood pressure and kill ourselves, right? So is it dysfunctional to remain, if you in these things for the lifelong, to keep anger as your foremost motivation? And then third, how does that all come together? You know, doesn't it get to a point where it's no longer about why I'm motivated and just get to a point where it's like, oh, this is life. I'm here. I love people. I'm for what is right. And it doesn't matter if why else somebody's motivated or if they like me or not. I wish the best for them.
Okay. You want to go first, Carl?
Yeah. It is good to be angry. It is it's a natural human emotion. I realize anger, though, is really just sadness. You know, when you really, really think about it. And I've been told I'm a great motivator.
Hey, my brother taps into that shamanism real. You know what I mean? He might be a shaman he might be a shaman in training real quick. He taps into emotions and he look on the deeper side, man. That we gonna have to tap into one day. I just had to call you out real quick because that's how I am. So I know it.
So,
you know what I mean?
And I think when there's been issues in this whole movement upstate. The goal we have up here, there's so many organizations, and all these organizations all want the same thing. They do little different things. A lot of things are overlapping. So the NAACP has been trying to get people under an umbrella. There's been Next Step Hudson Valley has been trying to get people under an umbrella, so we all work together. Our goal is to have New York City look at the Hudson Valley and see what we're doing, right? And there's a lot of emotion in a lot of these protests, a lot of emotion that is involved in people's cries for justice and speeches. But then the emotion seems to take, when the emotion mixed with ego, then things go haywire. You know, I think emotions are like fire. If they're not controlled, it's going to burn everything up. And it has to be concentrated. So anger for me, I know I wake up every day wanting to make a difference. And I'm upset that this country is both built on a morality, at least in wording, and on business. And the fact is they cannot coexist. You must have some kind of slave labor to have profits. And it's not just a racial issue, it's a classism issue, because you think about what Labor Day is about. You can't be a Republican and celebrate Labor Day because it's all about making sure people have working rights. You know what I mean?
SoundMinds, you've just been hit with a gem.
I'm trying to be part of the jewelry shop, you heard? So when I think about, I gotta be angry. I gotta stay firm and not let it take over me, but use it. And there's been times where I had to address fellow activists because you can't be a lazy activist. And I had to address people. You can't be an activist beefing with another activist. This ain't Bad Boy and Death Row. Like, what are we beefing for? We want the same thing. And I had an issue with You know, and I respect everyone if they watching. I'm not naming people's names, but I had a certain approach, and I felt like we should never beef in public, because at the end of the day, us activists are family, and as us activists, we have to keep the window open for this particular kind of movement, because we've been here before George Floyd. You think about all the riots and all the protests that have gone on. This time, I feel like it's different. We need to keep the window open and make activism important and fashionable, like it was in the 60s. You know, when you like during the progressive era in the late 1800s. You know, when you really think about it, it's you got to have some kind of fuel to sustain this feeling.
Hey, the fuel is there. It's in front of your face too. They fueling our fire. It just, are we controlling it like you saying? Are we using it?
How strong is your will? You know, what are you going to do about it? You see this going on, and you're going to just sit there and accept it, and that's what they want from us. They program us, right? Television programming. They make you, and I say the opulent minority. They know, they specialize in psychology. Rich people spend billions of dollars on the people they want and voted in, and they spend billions of dollars to keep us buying their products. Psychology is big in this, and if we don't plug into something powerful with something bigger than us, we're not going to sustain this. We're not going to stay focused and try to accomplish the goal, which is equity and equality. They're not going to give it to us. We have to stand here and then march forward. And I know for me, I've been activated. And I was saying earlier, I'm a rookie in this. I've been wanting to do it. Sometimes you need some clout, you need some friends, but I've been trying to do this, get into this game for a while. Now that I'm here, I'm never going back. And what keeps me sustained is this anger that you really are objectifying human beings. I am a criminal because I have a permanent tan, because I have African ancestry. You really think I'm some savage Negro. And every time I speak, cops be like, "Oh, you're such a gentleman to me." Like, what were you expecting? You know what I mean? Like, who do you think I am? You think you've been programmed. Our job with all that anger and all that frustration is to concentrate it and fight differently. And by fighting differently is, we can go toe to toe with the fist, we can go gun for gun, but it's really politics rules everything around me. We got to change it. You know what I mean?
Preem?
Preem.
Yo, that's fire. That's fire. That's good stuff, brother. First and foremost, I want to say nobody's gonna save us but us. We can't look to them to save us. At the end of the day, it's okay to be angry. It just all depends on what you're angry about. I think that's the biggest thing. Like me, with everything else, I was emotional, pissed off, but I'm not upset at cops. No, that's a profession. At the end of the day, an individual made, I don't know, I ain't gonna say no mistake, an individual saying he wasn't supposed to do, period. So I'm not angry at cops. I'm angry at the things that happen. I'm angry at the system. I'm angry that we're killing each other every day. You know what I'm saying? So I think it all depends on what you're angry at. And I say that because if you're specifically angry at cops, then you're gonna have a distaste for cops. You're gonna have a distaste for this. I got friends that was cops. I got friends I grew up with as cops. It's just a profession. It doesn't change. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, you're a snitch now." Like, no, that's your given job to take care of your family at the end of the day. You feel what I'm saying? You are in your profession. So if you're angry at cops, then you're gonna have disdain. You're gonna be, try to, fight them and all other stuff. You need to be angry at something that's bigger, because that's just situational. That's just an example on how we are mistreated by law enforcement, and it happens globally. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, we got to get in there. Our brothers who are cops, our sisters who are cops, if you can, speak up, So you got to, like you mentioned earlier, you got to channel that anger towards the right goals and the right mindset in order to make this change. And I guess we're going to really dive into politics. I'll say one thing, then I get into a little bit of politics. So you have to aim it at the right thing. So you aim it systematically. What I realized, a lot of meetings happen backdoor. So I must say this too. So even though I have not been to one rally, I have made the statement that when you are ready to make the next level after this, because you shouldn't have a rally without, or it depends on the rally, but you shouldn't have without a purpose, without a mission. You know, we're not just out there for cameras. And I've also turned down speaking because I felt like I'm not going to say anything that the next person's not going to say. We're all going to say the same thing in a different way at the end of the day. So, but I do want to get behind the fight behind the closed doors. And I think that's very important. So now that I feel like we're going to go into politics, we about to
powerful right there. Yeah. Hold up. That's the, you know what? And it's really like the biggest solution of all right now that you about to get into, man. So you go ahead and say private what? Private what?
These private meetings and backdoor meetings. And I'm speaking from experience. It's not like an opinion. I know this for a fact because I've been in them. So politics, depending on where you're from, well, I'm pretty sure it's a dirty game all over. And I was approached a few years ago about being a politician and getting into politics. First level politics in Hartford is your town hall committee. So I'm not going to name names, obviously, but I was approached by an individual, and he's like, "Yo, you should go for the town hall committee in your district." All right, cool. Then somebody that I do not talk to, a very important person in Hartford, called my phone and said the same thing. So now I know this is serious. Like, okay, I don't know what's up. I don't know what they expect of me, but they ringing my phone. I'm not asking, you know. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let me see what's up. So, you know, see the competition, see the thing, you know. So I said, you know, I help y'all throughout the process. Throughout this political process, I've seen people threatening people's housing. And this is town hall committee. This is like the lowest. This is the start. You want to get any? Well, you got NRZ, then you got top. Like, you want to get into, you got to start here, you know. And then flashbacking right quick. I remember many years ago when we was first starting for Unity. We started in 2011. My family member said, "Yo, you're going to have to get into politics. Like, your organization is going to have to get involved in politics." And at that time, I didn't want nothing to do with politics. I was like, "Nah, I'm straight. No, we don't want nothing to do with that." But I started to understand what he was saying because he understood something I didn't understand with how the makings of Hartford itself was. So now fast forward, like, all right, cool. So boom, I do this. I see the dirt. I see all that. And they got me thinking, like, yo, if they doing this on this level, what's happening at the state rep level? What's happening at the mayoral? And we see it, like, as soon as somebody about to run, a brother, I ain't going to name his name, but one of my brothers I grew up with ran for a spot. He was coming for the big spot in Hartford. And I think not even 2 days after, they had an article in the paper about him in a negative way. Like, they couldn't wait to bash him. I'm like, dang, 2 days? He just announced this 2 days later. So politics is a dirty game. And personally, I don't feel like, no knock to anybody else, but I don't feel like politics is for me, because to me, well, brother, even like us, and this is an opinion, that when we get into politics, there's a few things that could happen, right? So you sell out, which we see all the time. That's when the money comes, right? You either sell out, you get kicked out, which I've also seen too. I've seen some real people who like collectively other politicians didn't want around, or you appear to sell out. And that is probably one of the most dangerous ones. And I'll give you an example. So there was a story about a factory, right? And the factory had their union. So there was a position on the board of the factory that they all went for. You know, they say, we're going to prime this person, one person, we put all the energy into getting this person on that board, right? Yep. Shout out to Lucy. Yep. Town hall is town hall, not city hall, but it still goes hand in hand. But yeah, so right. So they prime one of the individuals is in the union, right? And he gets that board spot. So they're like, okay, cool. We already got our agenda. We're going to demand more jobs, more pay, more this, more that. Cool. First board meeting. First. All right. The first topic of discussion is cutting jobs. All in favor? Everybody's hand goes up, but that one that they put in that seat. All opposed, he puts his hand up. Of course, he's outnumbered, right? And then, of course, they want him to go break the news. So he has to go break this news. first thing they're gonna say is, "You supposed to look out for us. You sold us out," not realizing that he might have power individually, but once you get into a certain role behind closed doors, everybody don't know what's going on. So if you have 9 people who want a certain thing passed and you're the one that doesn't, it's not going to matter. So you're going to appear to sell out, and then the whole hood is going to be away from you. Like, nah, you was a sellout. We ain't messing with you. So appearing to sell out, and that is what we get into a lot of times. We get into local politics. And I will say, local politics does matter depending on who you got in those seats. But for brothers like us, like the real good fight is in the street. And like I said earlier, we all need them to save us as well. Shout out to politicians, like you politicians.
Can you just clarify for them what's the difference between town hall and city council?
So the city council is like right under the mayor. So you have the mayor, you have the city council, right? Above the mayor, you got the, like, not really above the mayor, they work hand in hand, state reps, because they on the state level, right? So you got your mayor, you have your city council. Under that, you have your town hall committee. Your town hall committee is not, I want to, similar, but not like your NRZ, but they are the ones you report to directly when you have an issue. So let's say it's a traffic light out. Let's say you want a strip put down because they're racing down your streets. That means the fight ain't what the people are. Oh, that means the fight that ain't. Oh, now that's what's up right there, Lucy. Shout out. So that's basically about empowering the community. Once again, so back to that. So you have the town hall committee. So you directly go to them. They go to your state reps. They go to your mayor. They go to the city hall council about problems. But it takes us knowing those problems. So that's the difference.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna add on to that, right? For the most part, it's funny that it happens at so many levels, even in the smallest of levels, man. Even something like a tenant association president, you know what I'm saying? Or for the most part, man, there's dirt that is so greasy that once you start to decipher, in which, my mother, rest her soul, my mother always wanted me, she always said I had to be a politician, and I was young. I was probably 18, 17, and I told her, Ma, I can't do that because I don't know how to lie. For you to be a politician, most times you need to learn how to lie. You need to learn how to play in certain fields and areas and play nice with certain people. Me personally, man, I think that's where a lot of, and then the sad part is that us black and brown are the ones who feel the monstrosities of those decisions being made. Because if you don't play nice, you get someone who's real, who sits in a certain position, you get them reelected out one way or another. Sometimes you may get voted off. Other times they say, I learned very young, man, they said when they can't touch you, what they do is they try to kill your character. So what they'll do is they'll lie on who you are as a person, because when you're a real threat to the false leadership and you're a real leader, they try to kill your character so that they can get more people against you, right? At the end of the day, truth of the matter is, when you have certain people in certain offices for way too long, that's when you need to start questioning, because I've always learned politics is a lot like WWF or WWE. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you used to have Hulk Hogan fighting Iron Sheik, and they the worst of enemies, and them dudes are in the back eating Red Lobster together. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like all these politicians, right down to the presidents, a lot of these dudes will sit there and face off and talk about, yeah, well, I heard your grandmother got a limp because you the one that shot her in the leg on TV. Them dudes on the back talking in the restaurant like, yo, my fault. I probably went a little too hard on that one, but pardon me on that. You understand where we're going. And the truth of the matter is, man, a lot of times with the elective boards and all that, these dudes will sit there and say, yo, we need the community to come out. That's only for face value. You need the community to kind of vote on things. But truth of the matter is, most times when communities are voting on something or saying something about these votes, they're already in play. They're already happening. So it's just a matter of saying, oh, now we gave it to the community. They just didn't vote off correctly. So, yeah, politics is dirty, man. And one thing I said, and even with my brother Kyle, we go back and forth a lot of times, man. I'll check on my brother will check on me. And the one thing I keep saying to all of us who are like-minded is we need to create our own. We need to create our own lane. where it's just like, you know what, we're not playing by the video games that you want to play by. You know what I mean? You can't start me in the last, the last board of Pac-Man and sit there and give me half a man with nothing to get off and then say, well, play the game. Here you go. Now, if you survive, you survive. But then we got another level after that. You know what I'm saying? We are unfairly put in these situations so that we can fail anyway, because the system is meant to fail certain people. You know what I mean? So, and you're right. The like-minded, that's where it all starts. It starts from the street level, and then it starts with understanding who can possibly make changes within those political seats for us to say, yeah, that's who we following.
Yes.
We're gonna stay strong on it.
That's why unity is key. I feel the idea that it's me versus you is and I also want to say it's funny how things tie together. Like Timothy, I think you felt it too. Like when you was saying how they try to discredit you, I feel like that tied exactly into what you said was the worst of the three. When you're being made to seem like a sellout, that's that approach, right? That's that prong of discrediting, which is the way they really kill you. It's worse than being dead because now you're alive and you look crazy. Dave Chappelle, to kind of move away from activism, even though he is kind of a subversive activist through his comedy and how many people he reaches, he definitely went through that, right? Like they tried to assassinate his character, make him a crackhead, make him all these crazy things and a sellout and this and that. And if he hadn't come back and stood on his platform again, right, he wouldn't have been normalized and we wouldn't have realized, oh, he's a human being, number one. And two, he's one of the funniest human beings we know. And he cares about things. He's not all these things that we're saying, but the machine is so good at doing that. And I feel like they've been good at that approach since, like you said before, in the 60s, there was a lot of things going on besides just the civil rights movement proper, right? There was psychedelics going on, LSD being, so many things were being studied in terms of psychology. And one of the things that we're still catching up to is how much they went with that approach of discrediting people. There was a movie that came out that I want to ask y'all about. Have y'all all seen this movie called The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
Nah, I didn't see that.
One of my favorite movies right there.
So Tim, just to be fair to Kyle, let's just do you want to or do I want to but say what the basic premise was? Because I would like Kyle to respond to this approach if it's realistic or fantastic. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it was about, or should I or somebody else?
You go ahead. You got the energy, man. Go ahead.
My mouth is, I don't want to blabber, okay? So I'm going to say this real quick. The idea that you do become dirty as a politician, right? So the idea that I'm going to go through the system, I'm going to purposely appear to be someone who's selling out or going by whatever white supremacist standards are in there. And then once I get enough of access, the keys to the kingdom, the means of the process, basically authority. Once I have the authority that is only given to those who are not seen as a threat, once I get in there, at that point, I will then use it for the betterment of my people. And I mean, it's a fantastic, cool movie. Y'all should all go see, especially since it was back then, very revolutionary. But then the question is, in what ways do we all do that? And what ways is that a fantasy?
So you saying the means justify the ends, essentially?
Is it even possible? Do you become corrupt? And there's so many people who say, they're trying to be in the system to be a change, as if they were the first one to attempt that. And then the question beyond that is, well, you might not be the first, but you might do it better than people were able to in the past, right? But it's a multi-pronged question, bro. I don't want to simplify it on you because this is like, you already know what this podcast, like you said, it's a jewelry shop. We don't do dualistic. So what is the pros and cons? How realistic and how unrealistic is it? Because it's definitely not one way or the other.
Well, I believe power doesn't corrupt. It just exposes who you are. I've learned, especially in my personal life, it's better to tell the truth. It's about really walking with a certain degree of integrity. Everything I do, I'm plugged in. If it ain't powerful, I'm not plugged into it. For me, I'm plugged into a higher source. And I'm trying to, with that being said, I try to do things from a moral standpoint. Hence why I'm tapped into an unlimited energy source that's going to keep me in this movement when people don't want to support, when people think I'm crazy or they think I'm corny or they want to make fun of my posts because I'm kneeling down with a Black Lives Matter flag and I'm saying that I'm going to enter in politics. You know, I've been told like I'm corny. Like, I know the truth. It's I don't know what other people can stand. If you know it's something bigger than you and you're being moral about it, then you conduct yourself accordingly. If you hustling and you're trying to get to the top by any means necessary, I mean, I think that's a personal choice. For me, I don't think you're not going to win. You can't play with demons and then try to do something holy. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm the same dude no matter where. Right now I'm student teaching. The way I talk here is the way I talk in the classroom, the way I talk on interviews. I'm the same person regardless. And I'm going to enter and I'm from the era where we were told keep it real. And that's the hip hop in me. And when I'm offering, I'm trying to service people. And I can't service them trying to hustle them at the same time.
Let me just challenge you to go crazy with this a little bit, okay? We talked about how you got a town hall, then you got a city council, then you got the mayor's cabinet, then you got so on and so forth. We know that one of the reasons for this is to see how threatening one is and how malleable they are to the hegemony before they get more access granted to them. When someone says something completely outlandish, racist, and disgusting, and you're in a space where you're one of the only ones realizing that and making a change, and you know that if you are that person who is the only one in the room that speaks out on it on a regular basis, you're not going to go from town hall to city council to so on and so forth, right? Because that's how this really is working. What advice do you give to people in that position? Because that's what they just want. I just want to smack
Or
Earth,
what
Wind, and
advice
Fire
do you
out
give
to you.
yourself? What advice do you give
Right.
the people? What advice do you give yourself?
You tap into if it comes to politics, you run with the people. You run with you got to have people power with you. That right now, for example, 845 Unity it's a group it's a Middletown based group. They're going against an environmental giant. I don't know if you know Indian Point. There's a fracking plant that supported Indian Point being closed. This fracking plant is way more dangerous and is producing more pollution than Indian Point is. And the challenge we're going against them is, we messing with some big dogs at the end of the day. I'm gonna keep it concise. And we're outfunded, we're out organized. And I said the only thing that we have going for us is that we have people power. The people are with us. And the people united will never be divided. 1, 2, there's an OG in Newburgh, Amari Shakur. And people have feelings about him. This dude, he don't hold his tongue for nothing. He cares about the people. He's on the block. He's on the block every single day. Every single day. The whole hood knows him. And when the politicians have feelings about him, he has all the people's support. And he's in there to shake it up. They voted him in, and he's in there. He's been working for years. He's actually he was doing things back in the day. I want to talk business. You know what I'm saying? So
Omari Shakur.
Look him up, man.
Okay, salute. We'll look that, brother. Salute to you, brother. That sounds like a way to
when
do
you got
it.
the people with you, and he comes in and he's like, yo, you're not working for the people. What about the people? He doesn't care about the notoriety. He cares about people. He had a situation where basically he says, I have blood in the streets and I can't give up my job. He's 64 years old. He's been protesting since like 68. He's in here. He's not playing any games. So for me, I might jump the years off, but he's been protesting for a grip. So to answer that question,
Thank you.
The only thing I can say, I'm gonna be the type of politician or support a type of machine of change that is really galvanizing the people and supporting what the people need. Because a lot of politicians, which are really poverty pimps, you know, certain people who've been in the game for a while and they sound great and they have all these press things, you know, they look good on press, but what are you doing? Are you in the street? I've been walking, listen, I'm from the Bronx. I'm comfortable in every hood. I know how to conduct myself. Peace black, peace God. Like I conduct myself accordingly. I was me and this group Nubian Kings and Queens of Newburgh. We walk in the block trying to get people to vote. I'm talking to two bloods in the Crip. And this Crip was like, he was 18. He was like, he's turning 18. He's like, I don't see the point in voting. And I said, you know what rich people do, right? They spend all their money trying to get people to vote. Meanwhile, you trying to look rich with your $20 sneakers on. You should reinvest your time and your money. This, you know, voting is important.
Oh, you said that?
Yeah, yo, yeah, I said that. And the kid was like, that makes sense. We try to act like rich people, and let's get together.
Salute.
Galvanizing the people, man. So for me as a politician and this whole game, and it's all nonsense. It's all imagery. And I keep it a buck. I'm all about what's real. None of this is real. So hopefully, and who knows, like I said, power exposes who you really are. I'm going to enter it and be who I am. If it fails, yo, I'm doing God's work. If it works, I'm doing God's work. You know what I mean? And that's all I can do. Because trying to do something righteous with no integrity, doesn't add up.
And I'm glad you said that word, integrity, right? Integrity and morale is so big to me on so many levels, right? We just recently had an opening NFL game, right? And that's another discussion would love to have, but you know, I addressed that in a verse, man. But nonetheless, recently had an opening game. I think it was Kansas City and Texans. The players linked up in arms, locked up for a representation of peace and unity. And, you know, because of everything that's going on, police brutality, and the fans booed them first game. I bring that up to say the power that we have. I'll tell you right now, if every black and brown player on there and some Caucasian and European players too who believe in the fight and the plight would have stepped off and said, word, check this one out. There's not going to be a game today. Now you have a whole bunch of angry fans booing nothing. So you just pay tickets to get nothing done. And that's where we need to be with it. We need to understand the power that comes with morale and integrity. And once you
can I add to what
definitely,
you're saying
brother.
also about our
definitely,
players?
brother.
I say it because you literally just gave me the alley-oop, because I literally spoke about this right before we got on. And I said, right, listen, we set up right now because if we really wanted to build a front line, if we really wanted to have soldiers on the ground, if we really wanted to have an army to fight for the cause, and we all unite, right? That unity, speaking unity, right? Bringing us all together, that means you got to look at them. Where are our biggest, strongest, most athletic, I mean, can walk up in any place and completely demand, you know what I mean, for you to, all right, give it up, let's go. You know we about, you know what I mean? You know, like you look at the size of, you know what I'm saying, like look, LeBron James is 6'9", 2 something, fully, you know what I mean, athletic. Like these are soldiers that but guess who got our soldiers? Guess who got our soldiers? The NBA and the NFL. They over there locking arms. But at the same time, what it would look like if we was all moving on a peace walk together right now. Them on the front line, they you know what I'm saying? We got our biggest soldiers that not only are great influence, but at the same time are just have that stature, you know what I'm saying, of that'll literally look and demand our respect and understand and a representation of what we represent. You know what I'm saying? The power that we represent, the power. That's powerful.
And,
if they all was a step off and now we all walk marching, that's powerful.
Right. And that's the one thing, and I think I mentioned this probably like 4 to 5 times. I don't even know, man. Yeah, no, it's much needed. And I think where it kind of comes what it ends up being, right? And I always say this, man, all my posts on IG, no suckerism allowed. I think it needs to be said. And I think that's why we have so many snakes playing amongst the lawn. You know what I mean? Because when they feel like, nah, if I get a couple of crumbs over here, I could shine. And I think going back to what Timothy was saying earlier, we need to stand and say, yo, fam, if you playing that route, check this here, go ahead. We cutting ties with you. So in certain places, there's certain politicians in Harlem, right? If you stay sharp, you'll understand. Certain politicians in Harlem that if you act in a certain way, fam, you can't operate out of here. You can't operate out of our streets and utilize all plights for getting famous and getting money and getting all types of political pull while you still here within our own streets. If you're going to damage us, we can't have you around. And I think that's what it comes down to. When we notice the foolery and the buffoonery that's going on, when we notice the suckerism going on, that's when we need to sit there on the front line and be like, yo, fam, nah, you ain't allowed to come back. You ain't allowed to come back into this fence. You playing on that fence now. You know what I mean? And I think that it takes a certain type of leadership. It takes a certain type of morale and integrity to be able to do that. And when you have the same people with the same backbone, that's when you start getting that respect that you demand and that you well deserve. You know what I mean? So, Tim, you want to build on that real quick?
I like that, you know, and I think that is what we got to get to and unify. And that goes back to, like, they're not going to save us. We got to save ourselves. So that's actually building community in an old school methodology too, because it's like neighbors getting together. You can't come on this block. You can't come within this area. You can't come within this area because this is us. And when you look at certain other communities, so like, for example, right, when I've ever gone to the polls, me personally, this might be different for y'all, but me personally, I don't recall seeing an Asian. I don't recall seeing any like certain ethnicities within those voting polls. And it made me wonder, like, how do they move when it comes to politics? So I do know that they practice group economics because everything comes down to economics, you know, and the money. So, and I believe, and I've read books too, that say that basically when you have a certain amount of economic power within your culture, then you can shift who the politicians are, because at the end of the day, they all need finance. They all need that financial backing. So you don't have to show up to the polls to know who's going to win, because you already have what's going on. You know, you've already pushed them financially, so you know they're going to win. So there's no need for you to be at the polls. You know, not to say nothing's wrong with that, but I'm just saying that's just something I took mine to. So that goes back to building our community, building our area, us neighbors sticking together, policing ourselves. You know, we could do the same thing, you know, seeing it on training day. They're like, yo, police don't come through here. I heard stories about it, even in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Police can't come through certain areas. You from back in the day. So it's like, yo, listen, you can't come through this area. We got this. You got the reports. No crimes here. Nothing. We got this. Politicians, no. We don't need what you got for us. What you gonna get to us? You know what I'm saying? But we don't need you. You can't come in this area, though, unless you got something for us that's gonna benefit us, as mentioned earlier. So I think that would be a phenomenal thing to work on. And I think it's going to go with getting everybody on the same accord and watching out for the wolf in sheep's clothing.
I said the cops can't come around these parts. It's group economics around these parts. We buying back the blocks. We taking back the land. We about to circulate our coin. We got a digital plan. Understand?
I got about 5 more minutes, brothers. Let's do this.
SoundMinds. Yo, before you leave, Tim and Kyle, I want you to build on that too. You know what's crazy? I'm about to throw a low wrench in this. So, Tim, you said that you know you barely see Asian people, right? We come from Lower East Side. Me and Kaheem come from Lower East Side, where we like it's a melting pot. Tim, I gotta ask you, Kyle, I gotta ask you, everybody on this call, I gotta ask you, and this is not in any way no disrespect to my Asian brothers and sisters and everybody. Fam, there's a Chinatown in every single area you go to. Damn near.
Every hood.
So when you're talking about economic, the structure, and you talking about that political pull, you think about it, no disrespect to the Asians, I mean, in regards to Middle Eastern, when you step into a Subway, the sandwich spot, how many Subways are owned by the Asian Middle Eastern population? How many when you start to do the math behind certain things, you know what I'm saying? You don't see a Black or Latino owned store on every single place you go to, but you definitely will see a Subway ran by Middle Eastern Asian population. You definitely will have a Chinatown. I don't care if you could go to LA and come back to Hartford and there's a Chinatown somewhere. So when you start doing the math behind certain things, when we start to unite and build that fence for us and ours, it's a whole different conversation and discussion. You know what I'm saying? And truth of the matter is, when you start to do the math behind historics, slavery, Africans were taken from Africa to come over here to build this country and this nation, yet everybody else is benefiting from it. That's crazy right there. So again, we need to start smacking each other in the hand. When we start acting different, now don't do that. Either you with us or you're not. But one way or another, you need to benefit all of us, not just yourself as an individual. So I just wanted to throw that out there, man. It's sick.
Real quick before Tim, before you go, one thing that I definitely want to shout out on the podcast that my brother Tim has been working on in the background, that he hasn't got to shout out yet, but I'm gonna just pull it over here. You feel me? I'm gonna pull this up, and if you looking, let me make my screen big real quick so y'all can see what's really going on. If you really watching, it says life isn't perfect, but your outfit can be. You know why? Because you'll be rocking them LaFrays by Timothy Fraylon. Yes, SoundMinds to that, man. SoundMinds. Listen, man.
SoundMinds.
Solution. This
proceeds go to activist organization leader.
Facts. And I want you to get into the background of this. I know that you started this with your son, and and it was just solution based minded. So definitely tap into that.
So this seemed like it's right on time too, because the first thing I was gonna say was buy black. Black first. So we gotta have the alternative things, you know what I'm saying? We gotta have our pizza shops, we gotta have our hair salons, we gotta be the distributors. Cause if we at the top, you know what I'm saying, they can't tell us nothing. Yeah, those look beautiful right there. So with buying black, and shout out to 2020 movement. I'm a part of the 2020 movement with my man Demetrius and a couple other like-minded brothers as well, where the idea is the idea that each month we pull together at least 20 people with $20 to support a black-owned business. And it's been a great success since January. So it's about trying to circulate our money and our funds and our dollars. So not only do the Asians and the Middle Eastern have these subways, they also know our culture better than we know our culture. So I always tell somebody, go into a hair store, right? When you go into an Asian-owned hair store, what do you see? They'd be like, I see hair. Of course you see hair. I see hair products. Of course. What else do you see? You see the bling bling. You see the fake jewelry. You see clothing, hats, and everything they think that we love, and which we do love, because we love to shine. We love to look rich without being rich, which was mentioned earlier. So they know us better than us. Which
you got to be seen in green.
Yo.
Look here, I'm going to just say before he gets off, you listening to the Wiz from the Wizard of Oz, and you seeing a glimpse of that right now. So keep talking. He's telling you how to use the game of the material world towards, just like they brothers building on using anger, transmuting it into activism. He's saying you can transmute the materialism into the right path, into the Ujima, cooperative economics, right?
Yes, definitely. So bringing it full circle, what comes to parts, we talk about group economics, so creating as well. So getting in creative mode, especially during COVID and things like that. So creative mode, I decided to get creative with a shoe. So just so happened, a friend of mine's son came with a shoe. And in Hartford, we don't have, to my knowledge, any shoe designers. But no, I could be wrong, but but we don't have any. So I'm like, okay, he came with a shoe. I supported him, bought a shoe. I was thinking about, you know what? I've been in like fashion shows and things like that for across the country for many years. Seeing behind behind the scenes basically, and ripping runway sort of thing. So I kind of been in fashion for a minute. So one thing I know about fashion is, I think out of all the fashions I did for many years, only one where I had actual footwear from an actual designer. I was like, yo, I've always wanted to try to design something. So I got the opportunity to do so, and came LaFray. So I can't have this idea with my son as well. So I'm trying to put him onto creating your own and supporting and buying black. So originally in the tongue, and you can show the tongue right quick, but in the tongue, I had a collage of me and my son. And then I went to one of my brothers, and he was like, man, nah, you can't do that. Remember, people be rocking your shoe. They don't want to see that. I was like, all right, cool, because it's going to be for him. So I changed it to this. So this is to never give up, because great things take time, So, and I thought that was a nice universal sign of encouragement too, as well. So we put that together and then just put it out there. And I got support from people, and it was really overwhelming, rocking my own brand. Like, that's dope. Like, who can say that, and I'm showing my son that too, that part of business, and trying to start something that can be generational. And that's the one thing that we need to really get into, is talk about generational wealth and group economics as well. So we had the LaFrays, straight from Italy, real Italian suede, real Italian leather. Interested in ordering them. Got the website, www.aliveshoes.com. You can check them out.
Fine.
Yo, we need to give you
Who said it best, right?
URL,
my seat, run with his seat, marry his seat. That's how we keep that money in the family. And right now, what you're doing for your son, for your baby boy, is teaching him. Let me teach you how to fish. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna feed you when I give you that fish. You're teaching him, and as that goes on for generations, that's when you start to expose the real empowerment of what that means. Generational wealth comes through creating with your own and creating with those around you. You know what I mean? So shout out to you on that, man. That's dope, man. And I'm definitely I'm interested in supporting, brother.
Can I add that they are luxury? Can I add that they are luxury?
Okay.
I'm talking about, like, they really are. They fit well.
Right.
You know what I mean? They literally are built. Like, I'm talking about better than the sneakers that you buying or the shoes that you buying out of the stores.
Fire. Yeah, definitely interested.
Are built better.
Definitely interested, brother. And shout out to you, man, for that's that entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean? And we need to do more of that, man. I think for the most part, man, what gives us that ability to jump without having to feel like we always need a harness is that support that we have, you know what I mean, when we do jump. Because we know if we fall, we still have that supportive network to be able to help us. You know what I'm saying? So jumping out like that, man, creating your own fashion, creating your own line, especially footwear. You know what I mean? A lot of people are making shirts and all that. Shout out to them. I'm not belittling them, but to do something different, that's on a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, brother, I mean, I'm definitely interested in supporting, man. And, we definitely down the lines. Let's talk, man. Let's get up and talk, man. And before you leave, by all means, Kyle and Tim, I would love y'all to, connect too, man. I think that's what we create these platforms for, so that we could connect those stars within the alignment, man, so that we could all create that type of powerful bond.
Definitely. So yeah, I appreciate the time we had, man. Definitely, I'd love to come on in the future and just keep building. And I appreciate that this is a great platform, and what you guys are doing is real purposeful and really needed, for brothers, sisters, kings, queens, in our youth as well. So yeah, definitely connect.
You want the constellation. You got the constellation looking bright.
Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, you can link up with me, Kyle, or anybody. Facebook, it's the same name right up under here. Well, it's actually Timothy Hirsch, nickname Fraylon. So Timothy Hirsch Fraylon. Once you type it in, you get me.
How do they spell Hirsch? For those who are listening, because we about to do an audio podcast soon. So for those on our new audio, how do you spell Hirsch?
So Hirsch, like Hershey, HERSH, So that's that's my nickname. In the hoods, I say. So yeah, Timothy Hirsch Fraylon. On Instagram, it's the number 4 Unity Core CORP. You can find me on there. Same thing on LinkedIn, all the other stuff. I don't have a
Where's
Twitter.
the link? Where's the link to buy the shoes?
The link to buy the shoes,
Wait, hold up. We're
www.
gonna change your link. You know that, right? I don't like the beginning of the URL. No disrespect. But after us talking about that, it's gonna be soundmindshiphop.com/Fraylon.
I'm with it. So for right now, until we change it, which because we're changing it, it's happening.
By next week.
www.aliveshoes.com, definitely /LaFrey, or you can hit me up on Facebook, like I said, Timothy Hirsch Fraylon, Instagram, number 4 Unity Core. Same thing on LinkedIn, email T Fraylon, so my last name right down there, 26 at Gmail. Just hit me, let's build. Thank you, appreciate that. Appreciate you, brothers.
SoundMinds, man. Thank you for coming through, man.
SoundMinds.
Thank you for coming through for real. SoundMinds to that, brother. Keep on doing what you're doing, man. Whatever it is that you need support from in regards to SoundMinds, we here for that, brother. You definitely have a new supportive cast in your system. You feel me? So thank you for coming on, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Word.
Peace, brother.
Kyle. So talk to me, brother. Let me ask you a question, man. Very important what you was talking about, man, in regards to the fracking and all that. Like, I feel like there's not enough people that understand the science behind that or what that actually means. So if you could kind of like, for the most part, explain that to us, explain to us what that plight means, what that means health-wise, what that means for displacement or how it hurts people around that area. That'd be very dope, man, because I think we definitely need something like that.
The issue is, first is there's something called environmental racism, right? One thing that NAACP represents is we try to defend against environmental racism. Conveniently,
Sounding to the track.
Conveniently, certain plants are put in certain neighborhoods. If, let's say, there's a huge energy overload and need to black out a neighborhood, it's always a poor neighborhood. You think about historically, Black people have been poor, so it's like 33% of us are poor. So it ends up impacting us. Sometimes it's not, even if it's not a racial issue, it's a class issue. Either way, it needs to be addressed. So this particular plant has violated codes. It was established on bribery. This is one of Chromo's main people. I'm forgetting the names at the moment. This particular plant, which is a CPV, is right outside Middletown. What it's emitting, the pollutants it's emitting, has already killed, and I've seen this with my own eyes. It killed several flocks of crows. Like, out of nowhere one day, these crows are just laying dead in the street. The stuff it spits in the air is like antifreeze, and it's kind of sweet to the animals, and they kind of soak it up, and they fly away, and then they end up. This thing is only operating at 20%, and it's impacting in the 15-mile circumference, which will impact Montgomery. It's going to impact Goshen. He knows what I'm talking about. It's upstate lingo. Nothing cool. So Goshen, Middletown, it almost gets to Newburgh, essentially. And it's only operating at 20%. When it operates at 100%, it's going to be a problem. The reason that at 100%, they still need to reach some permits. And the way it was, like I said, it was conducted. It was conducted on the low. It was orchestrated on the low. It was constructed, and it's still waiting for permits. So once that clears, it's going to be a problem. So this particular group, 845 Unity, there's a guy who's part of the group. He's also part of Protect Orange County, and he's definitely an environmentalist. And he has other environmental issues he's addressing. I'll get to that in a second. He's been giving us a lot of information. He's been battling this plant for years. So now what we're trying to do, protests are important. We're trying to lead a protest on Dulcin Avenue, which is a main vein in Middletown. We're trying to bring awareness to it. He's always in front of the plant, picketing, but now it's time to take this awareness to a higher level to make sure that this plant doesn't receive this other permits, that people see the corruption, that this was done through bribery. This was done through just nefarious means. People have been scared politically. There was a council person who was battling the construction of this site, and this person had a dead horse, a horse's head in their pool to try to, scare tactics. Like, this stuff is not, this is real stuff. Like I said, I'm giving you the very generic readers.
You're saying they threw this in the person's pool to intimidate them.
Yes. It's I'm actually.
It sounds like the good old 1940s and 50s where they said, "Get out of my neighborhood." I'm sorry to make that voice, but that's how they was sounding, though.
In fact,
Yo, we heard one like that just the other day.
And this person, the person name is this person who orchestrated the development of this is now in jail for bribery based on the development of this plant. So the whole thing is through and through. You can see that it's not legit business. So to bring this full circle, it's about environmental racism, and that's part of the NAACP. We got to vote on things, but this is something this is in our area where we need to address and bring awareness, and have it and do our part to make sure that it's taken apart. And the people, again, people power. How do you galvanize the people? How do we market that this is important for people's health? Because this is going to impact your children. This is going to impact the elderly, impacting everyone. And it's already signs that's impacting people. So, and the thing about...
And that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah. The thing
now, I was going to ask you, like...
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you in regards to...
in regards to... You got a delay, brother.
I got a delay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me get the question out. In regards to the people, how are they reacting, and is there enough information for the people to understand how important this is, for them to understand that they need to fight for this, because it's beyond race now. It seems like it's more about class, where it's like we don't care who gets killed off as long as it's not, the nice rich areas.
Number one, exactly. We are 845 Unity is trying to bring awareness. And now there's so many groups, right? Like I said, there's so many groups I'm a part of, and I associate with people. And you starting to see the same people going to the same rallies, end up on the same, fighting the same political battles. What's going on now? There's at least I know at least 40 groups. There's more than 40 groups in the area. But off the top, if we get these 40 groups to unify, to bring awareness, because that's what protests do sometimes. Some people are so caught up in, first world problems. I don't have the latest iPad. I don't have, my car. I need a new car. These things that are not they're not about life, right? They're not about health. They're about something tangible and transient. When we get to environmental issues that impact your health, somehow it's a political issue instead of a health issue. So what happens is that 845 Unity is really working hard and trying to get people aware of this stuff. Like we're going to hit the streets. I know it's COVID time. We treat COVID like sex. You don't know someone, wear a mask, do the right thing. And I have no problem going up to people and explaining that I'm not trying to make it a political issue. I'm trying to make it bring awareness of it's a health issue. And this is no matter politics, or no matter if you believe in climate change or not, you should believe in pollution. And pollution is going to impact, period. There's no such thing as environmental climate change, but you do believe in pollution. And this fracking plant is also impacting the water table. So it's also poisoning the ground underneath it, and it's also poisoning the air above it. And Well, while we all distracted, people are doing these things in the stealth mode. So the information, we're trying to bring it out. Besides on the IG, and they have a great following up here. We're trying to also hit the street. And we were starting from the center, which is in Middletown, the Middletown area, and let people know this is what's going on in your area. Half the time, you know, if you think about all the police shootings, and I'm not trying to say police do the shooting all the time, but the times it has happened, if they wasn't recorded, we wouldn't know about it. Thankfully, social media, thankfully, cameras are revealing these mistakes and these criminal acts, right? We have to utilize the tools we have to expose those who don't want things exposed, essentially. And we got to have, like I said before, this is probably more of a morale issue for me, and I have no problem being behind it. I will be in a protest talking about we can't breathe because of CPV. You know what I mean? Like some catchy chant, let people know. And
bro, we are gonna send you a song called "Breathing" that we just did. Me and Rashaman over here dying laughing. We just made, because that's what we've been on. We've been taking things that people don't want to hear from us and putting them in hip hop songs. Yo, we got a song called ZZZ. We exposing enough for he does the singing part. All right. But we talking about what you talking about, bro. I'm sending you this track.
Yo, that's what's up, yo.
Yo, the multi-pronged approach.
It's
the fact that you talking about 4-5 unity and Timothy talking about 4 unity core.
Hey,
it's like
this y'all song, this y'all anthem song right here.
For real, man.
Yo,
like
I'm all about unity. Like I said, too much dangerous fingers on your hand in the middle and trigger, but together they make peace. You know, we get so much further, man. We get so, and I'm really tired of all the
to the left.
The childishness. You know, there's people profiting off of our division. They're laughing at us. They are laughing at us. And I don't sit there in my personal life. If you know me, like we're squad and we got beef, I'm going to try to work it out with you, because family got to stick together. The tribe got to stick together. And being on the front line, if you will, there's been issues. There's people taking offense to things. There's people with the ego. There's people who want clout. There's people who are getting into this for money. Yeah, and it's interesting when we're saying like, yo, let's not bicker with each other, like I said earlier. And it's interesting, your non-for-profit's mission statement, your organization's mission statement is all about unity. But then when it's time to be grown and talk about things, nobody wants to talk. No, a lot of people don't try. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, I went on a little tangent, my bad. But when it comes to the
No. It's important though. It's important because truth of the matter is that when you talk about unity, right, that is so connected to community, and without the proper communications, how can you ever get forth a plight corrected or a wrongdoing corrected? You know what I'm saying? So what you're talking about right now is literally they're polluting the water, the air. Once you got the air and the water, you're killing people off, and that is straight up murder. That's strategic murder without the care of, okay, who am I affecting? You know what I mean? Like, that is not a noun. Shout out to you, Lucy LeBron. Shout out to you. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you for the live. But one of the things he brought up was asthma in Black community. Asthma seems to be more predominant in Black communities than anywhere else, and it's usually because of the work that's being done. Again, coming from the Lower East Side, I can't tell you the Williamsburg Bridge. The Williamsburg Bridge was being worked on for years, and that neighborhood in which it was being worked on has the highest rate of asthma, and it's only because of the constant work and the constant things that are kind of allowed within our community to kill our people off with no type of remorse of.
Well, things are being put into the air. See, what happens is
exactly.
those type of things get put into the air. We don't have plants in the cities to actually purify the air. And look, there's actually cities in the East, you know what I mean, on the East, like in China, I don't know exactly in Asia. So there's cities that they have that are like buildings that are now built with plants that drip down the whole entire building. I'm talking about apartment complexes like in the hood, in New York City, but the whole thing is now covered in plants as it purifies the air. Like, we're not thinking about that in politics about for the people, you know,
Right.
or let alone the way that we are building the environment. Like, that is a huge topic that, I mean, we can really dive into. I mean, I'm talking about, I think this is a topic that we need to dive into and bring us some articles. I got videos that I watch that's showing the environmental destruction and how the environment is affecting us right now. Like I think that's a
Actually,
huge
let me ask you about that too, Kyle, because you mentioned people saying, "Oh, you're corny," or just basically putting negative labels on you doing something positive, right? And I guess part of that is their own self-defense mechanism or insecurity or whatever, right? They don't, because the thing, whenever they say, I always ask, well, what are you doing? I'm quite sure my method isn't the greatest method, but my question is, what are you doing? Because I'm doing this for me. Am I stopping you from doing something that's right for you? So my question is, I find that even you know, I don't want to. I noticed everybody else did this, so I'm gonna do this too. I'm not gonna say the person's name, but they're well known. But I remember back in the day, he was like, "Food isn't political," and I was like, do you find that people saying, "Oh, this is corny"? Like, why are you talking about food? Why are you talking about the environment? Not realizing that's how they get us. They kill more of us through just us willingly, because we don't know what they're doing, putting it in our own bodies. Then they, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get arrested like you do for shooting somebody when you do for making sure certain neighborhoods have certain things they're willingly putting in their bodies, supposedly. And it's not necessarily we're choosing to, but there's something I learned in the computer science degree called by default. And when you set people up to do something by default, they have to opt out of it. So if you live in a neighborhood that has pollution in it by default, you can make it seem like those people are okay with it, right? If you put
Can I
certain types of brands in food and make it legal and normalized for them to eat it by default, they need to opt out of it. Do you find people, like some of your own people, are being ignorant to the fact that this is how they're killing more of us than anything else, which is environmental pollution and food pollution?
Definitely. I mean, you hit it on the nail. There's nothing else I can answer, but definitely people. The only way I can accurately describe it is people are just plugged into the matrix. You try to say something, you try to say, I'm trying to service. You know, there's people out here, when we have group meetings, we're arguing like we're getting paid. We're arguing like we're making millions of dollars off this stuff. This is all volunteer. This is all a volunteer gig. And people are so passionate. When I go and present information and say, listen, this is what's going on, this is not healthy. We don't live in a culture that promotes healthy. You think about what fast food is. You know, it's going to send you to your grave faster. We all about convenience. I had an intelligent young lady tell me that she likes Donald Trump because she's making money. So I don't see what the problem is. That's not an indicator that this man is a good what's the word, figurehead, a ceremonial head. This is not a sign that he is not galvanizing racist people. You know, the economy doing well, or he's doing these little things for votes. That doesn't make him a good leader. You know, and especially when he's benefiting off policies from the previous president. You know, and all his efforts to help the economy get back together. Anyway, it's hard. Like, for example, I call it different types of protests. One, in Poughkeepsie, we decided to hold an event. So I participated in helping when an event from the Black think tank in Poughkeepsie. Shout out to Rivers and Amber. So we just had a day totally dedicated to servicing Black children or marginalized children. And to me, that's a different type of protest. What did we do? We said, we're all about you. We're talking about all this stuff, but we never mentioned the children during this COVID time and what they're going through, the stress, the not being able to go outside. And we did something socially. You know, we had a lot of social distance. It was responsible. And it was a good turnout for our first one. I had another type of I participated in another type of protest. Shout out to Melanin on Chain, Freedom and Finance, where we went around the block in the hood and said how to clean it up. And people like, yo, why are you picking up garbage? People need to see a different type of experience. Black people caring about the environment. And it starts off small. If you treasure this, I think love means you aspire to honor something. If you aspire to honor your neighborhood, and if you see someone else honoring your neighborhood, it's about a whole entire cultural shift. And the problem is, like I told you, I'm an educator. Educators are versus the entertainers. And the entertainers, the people who are making bread, all they talk about is self-destruction. All they talk about is the moment. They don't talk about investing in each other. They don't talk about investing in back in the block or buying a block. Their songs, yo, I've learned misery doesn't love company. Everyone loves company. Misery needs validation. So you think about a lot of these rap songs, it's like, yo, I'm in the hood, I'm stuck, and like,
whoa. You've just been hit with a gem on the SoundMinds podcast. Misery, everybody loves company. Misery needs validation. So you're saying when someone's in this miserable thing, they're not moving forward. They don't want your company if you're gonna keep it real with them. Be like, let's pick up some garbage. They only want you around if you're gonna say, oh yeah, there's garbage everywhere.
Yo, let me tell you, I went another type of protest where we were walking around the hood trying to get people to do the census. Now, if you don't do the census around every 10 years, your city misses out on important funding because the government needs to know what is in that city. You miss out on representation for your state. You know, and the further you have more votes, the further your interest. So I'm walking around, you did your census, I'm on my phone. Again, this is my time trying to support people who may not be aware. I went up to this one dude and I was like, have you done your census? The dude looked up at me and said, I don't know what that is and I want no part of it. I'm like, wow, you know, I can't even, like, yo, I'm on your block. I'm in your hood. I'm showing you nothing but respect. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's the same thing when I try to get people to join the NAACP or join Community Voices Heard. It's about people don't see people. If it's not on TV, if it's not on the storefront, people don't want to be a part of it. The people only want to, it's the herd mentality. You know, if your rapper ain't talking about it, if your favorite entertainer ain't talking about it, and this is why entertainers become our leaders. And you see the biggest mess up of all time, in my opinion, with Donald Trump. No experience, never ran anything proper or profitably. And somehow he's our president because he's a great entertainer, right? He's the greatest con man of all time, arguably, right? And it's frustrating when you got educators, you got real folks trying to do real things, and it's just people don't grip it because they're not. It just doesn't register because you're just a regular person doing extraordinary things or trying to do extraordinary things. You know what I mean? So
clearly people have low self-esteem and they fight back against you because they want to be doing the like you said, the herd mentality, right? How do we, and this is a fault I see on the side of activists, which is why like been knowing me for years, Rasham know how I get involved. I always walk the fine line between getting involved with groups and maintaining my independence. And it's a weird thing, I know. But how do we, to point the finger at some of our activists that might be watching this, how do we get people involved in a way where we actually make them feel like we're on their side versus like the loaded question, right? The loaded question where people are starting out with, it's often like, if you're not doing this, something's wrong with you. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like that. And it's like Lucy has been rightfully so, sister. I hear you throughout the show. She keeps talking about the NRZs and the nonprofits. This is a common plague throughout the nonprofit community. You know, first of all, there's people in these nonprofits who are being funded more than, even in these nonprofits, quite often there are the black and brown people ain't getting the most of the money from the nonprofits. I'll just put it like that. And then people are made to feel guilty if they're not showing up that Tuesday or doing it in line with the way that nonprofit is doing it. How do we recognize one thing when Tim was on and you and all of us in this conversation, our previous podcast as well, the jewelry shop, thank you for shouting it out. The Constellation has been pointing out, like, we're all doing these things, whether we know it or not, right? So how do we not make someone feel like we made them an activist, and more like, hey, whatever you're doing, I'm sure you're already doing things that benefit others, your family, yourself, and probably me without knowing it. But here's another opportunity to do so, right? Is there a way we can, do you ever think about that type of thing? How do we, why are so many in our field of activism education more likely to turn people off and make them feel like just dismiss their whole life versus say, oh, the reason I'm bringing you in is because you are dope, you are a star. Here's something we're doing. If you want to be involved in this one, cool. If not, catch you on the next one.
I think to come off like you're an elitist, like only we have the answer, and you must join us. And I really approach everybody. We all, the difference is diversity, not division. You need, I need your difference. And like, for example, in 845 Unity, I started giving everybody names. And one guy named Alan, I call him Unity. There's something about him. He's always unifying everybody. I call my young G Freedom. The way he roars during protests, it's the roar of freedom. One of my youngest I call Finance, because he's about that bread. And we give the Avengers names. Me, I give myself the name Power, because I'm all about, if it's not powerful, I don't plug into it. I'm all about, like, and then I also say, what's freedom without power? What's freedom without finance? Like this is what Black people need, right? Or marginalized groups.
Hey, yo, it sounds like a nice comic book.
Bro, 'cause you know what? You think about what heroes do, and not no cornball. I ain't trying to act like some hero, but I know I'm choosing to service people. So that's what it is. I'm choosing to service people. We're choosing to service people, and you have to. How are you servicing people? I know that I'm trying to make sure people feel empowered. That's the main thing. And everyone, even if I approach anybody, I've noticed, and the reason why I say this, because like I said earlier, I wanted to always be down with something like this. I used to watch speeches with my dad. People like, Carmichael, Malcolm X, all these speeches I used to watch when I was 10 years old. When I was 10, Public Enemy talking about fight the power. X-Clan. Like that political rap, I was always involved, and I've always wanted to contribute. So I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know how to do it. But when I see people and I watch people banging on keys on Facebook and they talk about political this, political that, but where you at? So you're an internet activist. So you're a lazy activist, or you're a passive activist. You can't be passive and active. You need to make a choice. So what do I say? Yo, let's go. Let's go. And I don't allow you to not go, because it has to be powerful. In this stuff.
You a passive activist. That's a bar. That's another track.
And for real, I
don't worry, we're gonna give you the royalties when we put these tracks out.
So I just want to contribute to the jewelry shop. I'm just happy.
Yo, you over delivering. Am I lying?
Cal, you know what?
Over delivering.
Now, you definitely are, brother. And I think for the most part, man, one of the most important things you just said, right? And that's part of the brainwashing for our people. A lot of times, especially, man, we look at superheroes, right? And when you look at superheroes with superpowers, most times they don't necessarily look like us. It's as of recent where we starting to get, certain superheroes that look like us, where we could actually say, oh, snap, okay, cool, I can look like that, right? But what you're saying is, nah, we are superheroes for doing the front line work. You know what I mean? So when you have a child, when you have a baby or whoever it is within the community, the young ones, the little soldiers, could sit there and be like, nah, my superhero doesn't need a cape and be on TV. I see them every day because they out here in my community doing what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, for the most part, for the interest of time as well.
SoundMinds.
For,
SoundMinds.
you know what I mean? So for the interest of time and all that, man, and not to, hold you, because we definitely, but I want to know, is there any way? So 2 questions I had. One question is the common question, whoever wants to be a part of what's going on with, the 845 and all that and everything else that's going on, voice for the community and all that, how can they reach you? And then second, let's just say, Self-Suffice and Rashaman, who are both from Connecticut, or even, Timothy Fraylon, who was on the call with us, if they want to get involved with what's going on with what you're doing, can they do that? Or is that something that is really just based off of the community itself that you got to be within? So I guess the 2 questions kind of align within themselves. If anybody wants to be involved and help out, especially with the thoughts of strength in numbers, how can they do that if they could do that? And how can they reach you?
So that's the most universal, right? Which is Conway on the gram, which is KHANWAY. And I would say anybody can definitely join, because it's about, again, you can't front when you're on the front line. If you're not about it, if this was a trend, you're going to, the game will spit you out, if you will. It will be self-regulating, because this requires time. I'm in the middle of finishing grad school, and it's interesting how things took place. I joined the NAACP in December, and I've just been trying to run around, and I mean, you sort of like the event, like you came to one in February, I think it was, and just trying to do things, and being a newcomer in the game, I'm trying to be creative and trying to galvanize people and trying to amplify people's voices or amplify people's passion to help others. And I'm constantly thinking how to engage people. And those who when it's a trend, you see that they hype one moment, they in protest, throwing things up. But then when it's time to get down to participating with policy change, which is in New York State, you got Executive Order 203, which the NAACP was a part of, which basically the governor said that if municipalities don't construct a board that has local stakeholders that partner with the police to make sure there is the police are responsible. They have to figure something out. By April of 2021, they're not going to receive state funds. It's like this. So after all the protesting, the governor said, here's the result of all the protests. We heard what you wanted. There's a lot of people power. Now it's time for those people who are protesting to actually engage in politics and policy and legislation. And that's something I'm a part of in Newburgh. Every municipality has to have things set up. And if every municipality doesn't have something set up, the police or the local government can put their own people in there, and then nothing else. It's the same thing all over again, because there needs to be some kind of oversight. Again, some people want to defund the police as a punitive thing. I think maybe some funds should go to mental. There should be some fund to shift it. I definitely say, I'm not trying to handicap. I don't want to handicap them from doing their job. But anyone can get involved, and we need more people involved, because it's hard to do everything. I'm trying to engage people. At the same time, if people call the NAACP for this particular branch, me and another person are trying to answer those calls. And then I have these other responsibilities. And then I have my own life. I got to finish grad school. And I've been really approaching this whole engagement, this civil engagement, if you will, or the civil engagement, like it's a full-time job. And I'm like, I gotta focus on my school. I gotta get, because I'm gonna be the Kobe Bryant of teaching. I promise. I'm going to be the greatest, hands down. But at the same time, I really want to be in this. And the only way I can be,
you in study mode with this
all day, especially because I'm a man and I'm brown. I have, the responsibility I have is crazy, right? But we need more people, because I can't do all these jobs by myself. I don't walk around. Lately, people have been associating the NAACP with me because I've been running around with a lot of groups and been around. The thing is, I'm one of the youngest members, but I'm 41. I shouldn't be the youngest member. And you have all these pop-up groups that they get hyped and they pop up, but they don't have that. They don't have the structure. They don't have the consistency. The NAACP has been around for 111 years. It was designed for it to be maintained. And I feel with a historical responsibility to help it out, to help it grow, because what it's doing nationally, it helped with the DACA situation. Like in New York State, it helped with Executive Order 203. It helped with the repeal 51A. It's long-winded way of saying we definitely need more soldiers because there's still so much work to be done. And if people really want to be down and people care in the Hudson Valley, we're here.
Now, so I got a question. Soldiers in the politics game is another way of saying lobbyists?
I wouldn't say oh yeah, you got to lobby for what you want. It's lobbying locally, lobbying nationally, sure. But what I'm saying is when you have everything's a protest, right? You think about, and I said this before, SoundMinds, this is a form of protest, right? Your music is protest music. How you conduct yourself is all protest. And what are you protesting against? You're protesting against what isn't for the people. You try and ensure there's power to the people. When we have more people, we can ensure there's more power given to the people.
That's a fact. So, SoundMinds to that, my brother.
So it's we got, like I told you before, I got to be plugged into something higher. And in my personal life, before I realized something, I was getting burnt out with people because it's like, why don't people get it? I'm doing my best. I'm trying my hardest. And I was plugged into myself, into my own understanding. But when I realized this is something bigger than me, and there's forces of light and forces of the dark, then I had to choose which team I was on. You either with God or the devil, you either with the light or the dark. And when I chose to plug into something else, I don't feel burnt out. I know that I got to be patient, and I got to be persistent, and I got to be servicing. And I need to service the people who want to service. Because a lot of times this is also a social. Some people feel awkward socially. Some people don't feel like they're worthy enough. Meanwhile, you have talent. Meanwhile, you have a perspective. Meanwhile, you're creative. You're seeing things the way I don't see it. Some people won't even be on this podcast because they're nervous of people's judgment. But meanwhile, they're geniuses. They're so creative, and it's just, we need you, And I keep making sure I use the word we, because that's another thing. There's no ego in this. When you servicing people, you are humble before others and saying, how can I help you? And that's what all this is about. How can I service the people? That's how you bring power to the people. You know what I mean?
1,000%, man. And I think that you're doing a great job, brother. I thank you for, if anything, man, this is what this platform is made for. You know what I'm saying? And I think, the fact that you're doing the work that you're doing and you're staying so committed to it, you know what I mean? The vein, we could definitely see the passion, man. So thank you for the work that you're doing, brother. And I think for the most part, man, as long as you stay on it, and no matter what the judgments are, no matter what people think, at the end of the day, you're doing for most when most of the naysayers are going to sit there and just speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So we is a very important word. So thank you, brother. I can't imagine what the world would be like without people like you on the front line, man. So shout out to you. Shout out to Timothy for coming on, man. Any last words you want to tell the people? Anything you want to put out there?
I just also want to say, me being a rookie, there's so many people that are my mentors now. There's so many people I know who've been doing this for years, and who I just met or I've known, and I didn't realize the degree they were doing it. And as a rookie, and they know who they are. I appreciate you giving me that shout, but I just want to acknowledge those who keep me, who remind me I have something to chase. if you will. I'm trying to be good at this. And I don't know. I only know how to be good at it because people before me have done it or are currently doing it, and I'm just here to pay attention. So as a rookie in the game, if you will, like I said, I've been doing this since December. It's I just want to help other people who don't know how to start it. I just want to get them involved. And one more thing, like my man Grim Reaper said back in '97, positive brothers ain't gotta be soft.
Hey.
Fake ones
Straight cheese.
Hey,
You know
man,
what I'm saying?
continue to shine bright like that halo over your head right now, brother, with that light shining right above your head. You see
Yo,
that? That's like the halo right there.
That's funny.
It really is. When you committed like you are, you need. I don't know if like some of us might be a little older than you, but like sometimes you need some of us to let you know, look, you got both feet in it, you got 10 toes down in it. Finish your program. When they come up with the super duper important protest rally that day, that you gotta go to that rally to be an official activist, do not go. Finish your program, get your degree, because you in the light of it. You know what I mean? And I know we don't say that to each other enough. Get your sleep, get some nutrition, get some protein, get some water, because you're in this for life. Do not ever let anybody tell you you are not part of the people or with the people or with the movement to a point where you sacrificing your sleep or your mental health, because what you're doing for yourself is reflecting outwards, and we love you. You're not going to hear that from all the people that's like, do this for me, Kyle. But from your peers, it's important that we remind each other that we love you, we understand you. And when you think of us, don't think of what we need from you. Think of, he said, get some more sleep, get some water, so you can continue tomorrow.
Man, when I think of y'all, I'm thinking about the jewelry shop, and I need to plug in. You know, so I can fit something, because I appreciate y'all, and I'm honestly, when I met LiteSkin, like it was just energy, you know, and I had to approach him and I had to, he said I wrote the Constitution at a moment of writer's block. I said, who is this dude, yo? And I had to approach him, and it had to build, and that was like back in January, I think. No.
Nah, yeah, that was like a year ago. Some change. Yeah, that was a while back, because we just moved up. We've been here 2 years, so give or take, it has to be like a year.
And you see a lot, who your peoples are really reflects you. So him, again, the jewelry shop, the jewelers, man, like, that's that series, that's a track, that's an EP. I need to work that out. The jewelry
Definitely,
shop.
brother. And I'll be real with you, man, with your presence today, man, and Timothy as well, man. Y'all brought on some Cuban links, you know what I mean? So in the vein of the jewelry shop, y'all brought on some heavy jewelry yourselves, and we want to thank y'all for that. You know what I'm saying? Because truth of the matter is, we do this for y'all.
Yes, sir, man. We definitely want to thank you. And with that being said, before we go, man, we definitely got a special announcement. My brother LiteSkin, can you drop the special announcement? Because we got one more episode coming up.
Yes, sir.
And we got a special guest that we definitely want to announce right here, right now, exclusively.
So, as is the team, for the most part, man, the first season we finished off with an incredible episode. You know what I mean? And this season, with the incredible guests that we had, man, my man Conway coming through, man, and telling us about fracking and telling us how we're getting poisoned, and Timothy Fraylon with the youth movement he's doing. This season is no different. We're ending off the season next week. 10th episode, the 20th episode all together is going to have Curtis Blow on here, the pioneer, a pillar of who and what hip hop is. So, with that being said, y'all, SoundMinds.
I rule the world.
You feel me? We definitely got a culture pillar, and so to make it very clear, SoundMindsHipHop.com is named SoundMindsHipHop.com because everything we do through the vein of the culture of hip hop. Even through a conversation of activism, it's through the culture of hip hop. Even when we do arts or whatever it is. If we talk to you about water, I'm going to tell you how fire it is when I drink that H2O out of the vein of hip hop. You know what I mean? So you know, Kyle, thank you, brother, because y'all led up the activist movement, and what y'all part of led up to the alley-oop of one of those that was out there speaking about the truth of the hip-hop culture at the time when we needed it most. So all that comes through those who opened doors before us, man. So thank you for being a part of this movement, brother.
Yo, real quick, hip-hop, real hip-hop is all activism. It was all about unity. It was all about diffusing gang violence. So when people out here talking about you're not a hip-hopper because I'm all about the light more than the dark, and the fact that activism leading to a pillar in hip-hop, what hip-hop really is, proper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Powerful.
With that being said, man, another great one. Thank y'all all. You know what I'm saying? I thank you all for those who viewed, and if you viewed and you want more people to understand what's going on, there's real superheroes in the presence that we have in the form of Kyle Conway, in the form of Timothy Fraylon, in the form of the SoundMinds hosts. You know what I mean? So we out here, and like-minded are going to create a chain that can't be broken. So it's a matter of starting that movement. You know what I mean? Whether it be a light spark or a whole forest fire, one way or another, we're going to get it together, y'all. So SoundMinds, another great Sunday.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Share it and be a superhero and share it.
Hey.